everyone to the Newly podcast, where you get practical, no BS insights on how to grow yourself and grow your career. On this episode, we are talking to my friend Pace Josey. Pace is the VP of Marketing and Sales at Max Credit Union. Welcome, Pace. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this conversation for a lot of different reasons. One, this year I've learned a lot about credit unions and how amazing they are, and I think that it's a really untapped space for talent. I think a lot of people would really love to learn more about it. So I'm excited to talk with you about that. But why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you said, I'm Pace Josey, VP of Marketing over here at Max Credit Union. We're state chartered in Alabama, so we're down here in LA. Sometimes we call it Lower Alabama. I've been in banking almost 15 years now, and we'll kind of dive into some of that deeper. But on a personal note, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So,
Ooh,
Star
yes.
Wars fans out there, hello. Um, Also, I've got a husky named Husky,
Oh.
ironically, because I know it's so original. It's original, right? But I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And did you celebrate May 4th? May the 4th be
Oh
with you.
yes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We actually, I've got some Star Wars memorabilia in my office space, and I may have adorned in a mask and went around and kind of said hello to a few people. It was fun.
I love that. I love that. That personality. That's awesome. Yeah. I definitely had a bunch of texts from friends on May 4th that were like, all over the place. It was great. Well, so this podcast is really about again growing yourself and growing your career. So let's start with just a brief history of your A to B story, how you got from where you were in your career, where you started, to where you are.
Sure. It's kind of a fun story. It's been a journey, and I'll go all the way back to kind of the very beginning. And I was 18, starting to work in my undergrad at Troy University, go Trojans.
Woohoo.
And I was working at Starbucks, and it was kind of my first real, career kind of place. And after a year in, I decided I wanted to work at a place where I could wear a tie, and that was my association, like with a professional career. You had to
Yeah.
wear a tie.
Mhm,
And I was
mhm.
like, banking, yeah, they wear ties. Of course, that's where I want to go. Not that like I wanted to learn about finances and how things. I wanted to wear a tie to work, and
Nice.
so I got a job at a very small community bank, and our branch was actually connected to a gas station, and
Oh,
it was real small, but it was fine. It was like a good intro for me. Plus, I mean, I could walk next door and get all the snacks I wanted,
love
and so
that.
it was great. But I kind of started there, and that's where I got my banking start. And I had no idea, being
Mm,
young and getting into it, I was like, wow, there's a lot that goes into this, and how important. Like, I just didn't really understand finances and the importance of how accounts work and savings and all that kind of goes into it.
mm,
So that's kind of where I got my start into that. And from since then, I just kind of went from to larger institutions and some other larger institutions, and then I ended up in the credit union world. And
mm.
it's been tremendously changing to kind of see the difference between the two. In my opinion, night and day. We're all financial institutions and we offer similar products and things, but what we stand for and our
Mhm.
actual mission of what we're meant to do is so different. And I've really enjoyed that journey part and get to see that. But that's kind of where a very short subscription where I started, and today I'm at Max Credit Union and loving it.
Okay, so I want to dig into this just a little bit more to your story. But before we do, I think it's really important that we talk about the distinction between, and this is a little bit off script, but what's the distinction between a bank and a credit union? Because I'm not sure a lot of people know that.
Sure. On its actual, I guess you want to call it Webster description, a bank is responsible to its board, and it's a very much for profit organization, and that's their goal. They're in business to make money and to grow their business. On the
Mhm.
credit union side, our shareholders are our members. When you join a credit
Mhm.
union, um, you're joining an institution where you're a shareholder. Like, we're responsible to our members, not to a board or not to shareholders or somewhere else that's where we're making money. No, it's our job to be responsible to our members and to serve them. And often that looks like great rates, or if it's just different products and services. And sometimes it's just connecting with them on a whole different level. We're not cold calling people saying, "Hey, I think you should get XYZ product," or whatever. It's more like, "Hey, we're so glad to see you, or we're glad to talk
Mhm,
to you. What can I do for you? Like, how can we
mhm.
help you?"
Yeah,
Literally, credit union mantra that we're built off of is people helping people.
I love that.
And we're not for profit, and we're responsible to our members, to our community. And to me, that's kind of the major differences. We're meant to serve. That's what we're trying to do.
I love that. I love that you're calling out specifically that you're meant to serve and that you're founded on people helping people. And I think the more that I've learned about the credit union industry, the more I've fallen in love with it. And I know historically it's been maybe a bit insular because it was founded off of, like maybe there was a trade organization and they decided to have their own specific credit union, but it's really opened up in the last several years or the last decade where anyone can really join a credit union and enjoy the benefits of that. Is that,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that.
Some of that could be a misconception too. If you're not familiar with credit unions, and we hear of banks and maybe get lumped into that sometimes, or
Mhm.
maybe you're like, I'm not really sure what that's about. Well, it's very much opened up, like you said. It's like live, work, or worship in our area that we serve, and you can join. And
Mm.
it's not difficult at all to join a credit union. If that's a misconception out there, I'm debunking it right now.
Okay,
Can very much
awesome.
join, and there's even a method you can join by like making a donation to our nonprofit organization. It's called Max for Kids, which we focus on helping children. But you make a
Really cool.
donation to that, and then like you're a member. It's not even like you have to be within that footprint.
Mm.
So many ways. Very easy to join a credit union. That's something that's kind of key to say.
Yeah, very key to say. Okay, so the theme of our show is career growth in credit unions, and knowing the mindset, skill set, and pathways to do that. So, give us a little bit of background. Tell me about how you first got involved in the credit union industry and why you think someone might want to consider a career path. And
Yeah.
then you talked a little bit about it, but maybe just dig a little bit deeper on that.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I started in traditional banking, that small community bank, and I ended up going to a larger bank that was ended up being based out of Louisiana, and we had some merger after merger kind of thing, and I was slowly like learning. This is, it's fine, and I'm learning a lot about finances and things, but it was very much a for-profit mindset, hard
Mm,
goals, call goals,
mm,
sales, like the whole thing in that mentality. Well, I took a break from banking and actually moved to Mobile with my wife. She was doing her undergrad down there at South. And while I was
mm,
there, I had the chance to join a advertising agency.
mm,
And I did, social, client management, all that kind of stuff. And I love marketing. I mean, since the beginning, I've been trying to do it even in the traditional banking stuff and maybe into a few of those stories. But I had a chance to work there. And then Montgomery is our home. And so we wanted to move back. And a friend of mine I used to work with in traditional bank was like, "Hey, I work at this credit union and they've got this marketing role. I think you should come check it out." And so
ooh,
I did. I met with them, and I wasn't overly familiar with the credit unions at the time. I had a chance to be in one, and it worked out. We talked, and it was a good fit at the time. And so, hey, that welcomed me into the credit union world.
mm,
And to say the least, it opened my eyes into the night and day differences between traditional financial institutions and credit unions, and that whole shift of mentality of here to serve. Very
yeah.
much have loved being a part of that and building off of that mantra of people helping people. It sounds simple, but that's what like the whole thing that we're built on. That's our foundation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Annika Johnson says, "Good morning." Good morning, Annika. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
good
us. We're so
morning.
excited you're here. So that's such a great background, and I love that you really discovered it on your own in sort of an exciting way, and I think that's really how a lot of people are finding out about credit unions. So tell me about what makes the credit union industry so special beyond just people helping people? I know there's a lot of, you talked a little bit about your foundation and community involvement. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I think the connections are what are key.
Mm,
You know, it is about helping people, but also like our responsibility to the community.
mm,
So, hey, we offer checking and savings and loans, of course, all institutions do. Um, but with us trying to serve our members, it's all important. Also, very important, we serve them outside of the institution, the physical buildings and things.
mm,
Like we are out in the community doing things to serve, and it's well beyond, hey, let me stroke you a check, put our name on some kind of board or something. It is like
Mhm.
hands-on serving.
Yeah, yeah.
Great example of that. We have a regular relationship with an organization called MCOA, Montgomery Area Council of Aging, in which they serve regularly food and like supplies to shut-ins and the elderly that need that help.
Oh,
And
wow.
our team is on a regular schedule going to serve there, and we make meals, literally stuffing these bags with food and setting
Mhm.
them all up. They have an amazing setup over there, and serving. I mean, that's like hands-on kind of thing,
Yeah,
and it really changes you not just from that credit union level mindset, but like as a person.
yeah.
Like you're being taught to kind of change the way you think.
Mhm.
And it's not about getting this or that from someone, but it's how you serve. And you do that enough, it really does change you in a very positive way.
Mhm. Yeah. So you have a fantastic story that I would love our viewers to hear about an incredible way that a credit union personally served a member. I think you know it, the boot
Yeah, the
story.
boot store.
I
Yeah.
would love for you to tell that because I feel like that also sort of extends this idea of how it changes you as well as an employee.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it very much walked out that we're here to serve mentality. But another, credit union I was working before in my career, we had the ability to have a fund where it was our job to use those funds to serve our members in unique ways. Sometimes it was member appreciation days with like, free food or whatever. But it was also about listening for opportunities to serve someone specifically. So there was this member that came in and he was wanting to get a loan for a pair of steel-toed boots,
Mm,
and he needed them for this job he had just gotten, and it was like a construction job, and he explained he had been out of work for a while, and he finally got this
oh,
opportunity. And so he needed these boots though to start his job. So he was coming in to get like a personal loan to get them, and he gave what they were, where they were, and all that stuff. Well, he was getting that. Our people went out and they actually purchased the boots with those funds. We have been allotted, and
wow.
they brought them to him. As a, hey, we could, give you a loan to get these. We don't want that. We actually want to help you. And that's
Yeah,
that whole thing from here you go, here's these shoes. We're hoping these make a great impact from you. And that's so much deeper than, hey, let me help you get this better rate on something. Like, let me help meet a genuine need for you. And
yeah,
if you don't think that story went well beyond like us sharing it in this kind of setting, like it changed that guy's life in that moment. And I know forever he'll be like hopefully loyal to that institution. And
mhm,
if anything, it's more like carrying out that serving mentality. Hopefully, like
yes.
plays passes it forward, and kind of gets something like, hey, there's like some good people, and credit unions are kind of great.
They are great, and I think what I love most about the story, I get chills every time you share that story. But what I love most about that story is it. If we're talking about growing careers and growing people and growing yourself, growing your mindsets and skills, really the idea of how do you look for ways you can serve others in your career, whether or not you're in the credit union industry or you're focused on people serving people, which is what the credit union industry is focused on. How do you serve those around you? And I just think that's such an incredible example. So talking of skills and things, what kind of mindset would someone need to join the credit union industry?
Something that's really served me well is the willingness to connect with others. And it's, and often in the hallway, we all do this. It's, hey, how are you? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good too. Have a good day.
Mm,
Yes, we all do that. And, we all have those days where that's all we want to do. But trying to be more genuine or purposeful in
mm,
creating that connection.
mm,
A fun example we're doing right now at Max is our departments. Literally, we go by like all these little Debbie snacks, like a
mm.
bunch of them, and we write a little handwritten note that's like, "Hey, we appreciate you. Thank you for what you do for our department, and thank you
Wow.
for what you do for our members. You are
Mhm,
appreciated."
mhm.
And we'll go take that to different departments, like whether it's card services or HR or collections or our service center, whatever it is. And we'll kind of like almost once a month take one to them and just say, thank you. Like, we appreciate you. And
Wow.
for us, it's building, a much deeper connection with them
Mhm.
and saying, we're here to support you, but you as a person, we see you. Thank you,
Mm,
like, thank you for what you do. That's well beyond, reviews and very legalistic type things that we all kind of have in our careers. But
yeah.
it's like, hey, we're here, you're here, we see you. Like, we're about building those connections. And
Yeah.
so that mentality of connecting and wanting to connect with others is very much an element that'll serve you well in credit unions.
Mm. Yeah, the idea of wanting to connect with others and making that a priority is a great mindset to have. And we had some comments from from Drew. He commented that it was a great story, the booth story. That's why I wanted you to tell it. It's such a great story. And Annika said that the business of changing people's lives is so impactful, and that really is what you're doing in the credit union space. So what skills would most people have to that would help them succeed in the credit union industry? Let's say maybe someone really wants to get involved in the credit union industry, but they're like, oh, I'm not a numbers person. What would you say to them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was me. Going back to my beginning, I mean, all I knew is I wanted to wear a tie to work. I mean, I didn't think about banking or anything.
Yeah.
First, it's just having that willingness to learn. I mean, when you
Mhm.
get in and you've had a familiarity with like accounts and how that stuff works, and sometimes it almost feels like its own lingo. It's just having that willingness to learn. You
Yeah.
have to be open to it, and you're
Mhm.
going to learn. But if you take it from that mindset of it's not just you're learning something you can use in that specific career. It's going to impact you in a positive and helpful way,
Yeah.
especially talking like finances. I mean, we can all learn more about finances and management and
Mhm.
strategies, that whole thing.
Mhm.
So it's going to very much benefit you. So willing to learn, also hyping him back on that thing, trying to build genuine connections. That's
Mhm.
important. And not being
Mhm.
afraid to maybe like fail at something. A lot of people, I think maybe say that there's a lot of books out there about that, but it's okay. You're not going to get things perfect, but continuing on with like moving forward and just continuing to try, you'll get it. Sometimes it may take a little time, but you've got
Yeah.
the support of those around you. It's not
Mhm.
me versus you. Remember, we're building those connections.
Mhm.
It's how we're going to do this together. How can we support each other? But if anything, if you haven't tried it, I'd say go for it. It's a
Mhm.
wonderful industry to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that it seems like in other financial services industries, it's very much sort of cutthroat, and even in banks, maybe you're trying to work together for something, but you're still sort of competing against the person next to you. I love that there's this environment or fostering of, how can we do this together? And I think that's just fantastic. We have another comment here from Noah says, thanks for sharing the mindset of connecting with others. Is the culture of credit unions different from a large bank? So I think, yeah. How would you characterize that?
Yeah. Can I say night and day?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, sure, yeah.
to put it in a nutshell, but very much goes back to that. What are we in business for? I think we've said it. We had a chance to talk about it before, and we just happen to be a not-for-profit that offers, checking and savings accounts.
Mm,
It's our goal to serve. It's our goal to be responsible to our members and to help meet their needs and to the community.
mm,
And on the banking side, I've had a chance to be in that world. It was very much on goals and creating those profits for the board and for those responsible. And it's a for-profit business.
mhm.
So very much kind of two different perspectives altogether.
Yeah, yeah. That's so impactful, and driving that point home. It's a not-for-profit business, that a credit union is not for profit, and certainly they want to make profit for their members, to continue to support them, but that's not the goal, and I think that's just so impactful. Um, so let's talk a little bit about pathways. Let's say someone is considering entering this industry or exploring it. What are some practical steps that you would recommend that they take?
Sure. Um, I guess first, we're looking around at the opportunities for different institutions, and credit unions one a wonderful way to go. We
Mhm,
established that, but looking at opportunities, I would say a lot of people have this mindset. If you want to call them a teller or a customer service representative, kind of on that intro type line of careers,
mhm,
I say to them, yes, a lot of people enter maybe the industry from that as you're learning like how it all works, but by far the most important role in our company and any really institution,
mm.
credit unions specifically, you are the face of the company.
Wow, yeah.
You are working with the members And often they may get into this thing where they come in like, all right, here's a stepping stone career for me and a career move. Never feel down for like coming in on that. If
Mm,
that's the common or misconception, so very important. Me
yeah.
personally, being in like the marketing side of things, I don't get the chance to kind of be in front of members all the time unless we're in the community. I
Yeah.
don't get to make those relationships with Mr. Smith or Miss Susan or whoever it is, and learn about their family or what they have going on, or they have this situation and we can address that. I don't get that chance, and they're the face of our company. They represent us.
Wow.
They make those connections, and they really help serve others day in and day out. And that role, as you kind of maybe start into the credit union world, just never forget how important that is.
Mm, mm. I love that you're really honoring that frontline worker in the credit union space, and that even though it's maybe an entry level point, I've heard, at least from people that I've known in the credit union industry for a while, that I've met this year through a lot of my research into the industry, that have started as tellers and are now VPs, or are now, larger parts of the organization that are really contributing to the bigger outcome. What would you tell somebody who wants to start as a teller and really wants to make sure they're headed in a good direction in that industry?
Yeah, perfect. I was just thinking about that.
I love it.
Perfect example at Max. There are so many people here that started in those exact entry level positions and are very much either CMOs, CFOs. We've got so many testaments of people. I think someone just retired. They've been here 40 years.
Wow.
Like that is like the majority of their life.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
anyone, can hop around from place to place. But to me, that's a testament, at least for Max, and a lot I'll say in other credit unions, like you don't really want to go somewhere. You're in a
Yeah.
company, and if there's opportunities continue for growth, like Max has,
Hmm.
um, you can hang out, you can grow your career, you can have a full career. It's not just a job. There
Yeah.
is tons of opportunities. And some of that may be for getting your foundation of kind of learning the knowledge of credit unions and banking, but then opportunity on opportunity and how you can grow further. Maybe
Yeah.
it starts with, tellers and you're going into accounts and you're opening accounts and mortgages and further and beyond, and you kind of sprout out into other things because you have opportunities through like groups of people we kind of bring together to help solve additional issues or for innovating projects, and it kind of goes on and on and on. But there are real careers in the credit union world.
Mm. Yeah, I think that what's so exciting to me about that is a lot of times, we're seeing with this new generation, there's sort of a trend of job hopping, as it were, and even unintentionally, the pandemic has really destabilized a lot of people in their career trajectories. And I think what's interesting and amazing is that a credit union is a really stable organization where you can really grow over time, and where you can really dig in and create some sustainability and stability for yourself as a career. And I think that's incredible. I mean, your story is just a testament to that. What would you say? So you started working at a credit union, and what would you say was the moment you were like, okay, this is where you realize, like, this is the thing. This is it for me. I'm going to stay in this industry. What was that moment for you?
I think one of the things that, like, one, I'll make it two part, was differentiating for me is we kind of had this like unspoken rule of like, we called it like a 6 feet rule. So if
Mm.
you walk within 6 feet of someone, whether you're in branch or wherever, like, let's address them. Let's say good morning. Let's talk
Ooh.
to them. Like, it's not like, let me just focus on my work and I got this deadline done. Or like, no, stop and see people,
Hmm.
make an effort, try to connect with them, and that again changes your whole mindset on how you do
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
boot story is one, but I've had multiple opportunities just to connect with people, and we try to just find real solutions, not
Mhm.
just like, hey, I've got this product that'll help you, but like, let's sit down. How else can we meet your need? By the way, we know that you've got this difficult situation going on. Um, Small example of that, we had a longtime member, and they were experiencing a hardship, and they had like kind of like a death in their family,
Mm.
and they ended up meeting a lot of the funeral cost. And connecting with that, and they helped them through their loan process because they had some supportive like insurance gap type programs
Mhm.
where instead of them having to take on that responsibility of the loan, we're able to say, don't worry about it. It's been covered by this policy that we kind of put on from the beginning to protect you from this very thing.
Wow.
And so they no longer have to have that burden. And so
Yeah.
finding those ways to help them not only through the services that we have, but on that additional level of meeting some of those needs personally.
Yeah, meeting those needs personally is fantastic. And we have another comment from Monica saying, "Stop and see people," and just how amazing that is. When you said 6 foot rule, I was thinking like I was in my COVID brain, like, oh, okay, 6 feet. And but what a cool different way to look at the 6 foot rule is that you address people and see them and look at them. So we've talked about practical steps. Just wanted to mention a little bit, before we were sort of nearing the end of our program, but talk about some opportunities at your organization. What are some pathways that people might want to take to get involved in the credit union industry at your organization?
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We are a state chartered credit union, and we serve a number of counties. So for anyone that's listening or gets to view this afterwards, you're in the Alabama um, area and you end up one of our markets, by all means, Max Credit Union is a wonderful place to be. And
Hmm.
for all the many things we said about people and things and the growth opportunities here, and hopefully my sharing some of what I've experienced will help encourage that, check us out.
Yeah.
I had this fun thing. 'Cause I love to have fun. So this is my, big branding hat that I got here.
I
We'll take
love
to
that.
events and things.
That's so great.
And I say come to
Fantastic.
Max. It's a very, very great place for professional growth.
Yeah.
We work hard to make it fun.
Hmm.
We work to connect on all levels.
Mm.
So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to kind of answer questions or make some connections or whatever it might be. And then also, obviously our website, mymax.com. But if you're looking for a great place to work and you're in the area, hey, Max is the place to be.
I love it. Max is the place to be. Well, I'm going to hold you to that. And also, I'm going to make you keep that hat on while we do
Oh,
our
no.
rapid fire questions because it's great. I love it. So, our rapid fire questions today are: what is the most random job that you have ever had?
Okay. So it was also a job slash passion of mine, but
Okay.
I was a fencing coach at the
Ooh.
Mobile Fencing um, Club. So I had a background in fencing and I'd been there a while and I got the chance to be a coach there. And it was a lot of fun. So I'll call it job, but it was more of a passion.
Yeah, that is so cool. Remind me never to challenge you to a duel. Um,
Deal.
if I ever meet you in person, though, you'll have to teach me some fencing moves. That sounds amazing. And then, okay, our last rapid fire question, and I just think I love hearing everybody's answer to this, but what is the worst career advice that you have ever gotten?
Don't make waves.
Ooh, Pace, that's so good. Say more.
Um, God, for me personally, that's that's one of my things that I hold on to most dearly. Like
Mm,
that's a self mantra for me.
mhm,
If you're wanting to move in your career, if you're wanting to move in life,
mhm.
you got to make some waves.
Yep.
You may feel uncomfortable and you're trying to do things. They're like, hey, that's not the norm. That's not how we do things. Well, it could be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe it should be.
Yeah.
And if it's not right now and you're trying to do something, it may serve you well later. I've
Yes.
had many personal options and opportunities with that where I was trying to do things that weren't really within my role at the time.
Mhm.
But fast forward to later, and I was like, hey, I've got this to stand on. I've had
Mm,
these chances, I've had these opportunities. And that's also not about like that traditional mindset of you got to wait your turn kind of
mm,
thing that a lot of them like, hey, you've got to be here for 12 years before you can do this or that.
yeah.
Make some waves, try some
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And I like that you are really calling out if you want to move. I had this like picture in my mind of a boat, and if you want to get a boat anywhere, you're gonna have to make some waves. You
That's
can't
it.
help it.
That's
So
it.
I just think that's such a great call out. Well, Thank you so much for joining me. And I want to thank everyone else who joined me and who was in the comments. If you want to listen to this episode again, it goes live on all relevant podcasting channels on Monday morning, Memorial Day. Woohoo! Don't forget to subscribe to the channels and like and share with friends if you think some of this advice would be valuable to them. And join me next week at 8:30 a.m. for the Newly Podcast Live, where you get more practical, no BS insights on how to grow yourself and grow your career. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Pace. See you next time.